Hey y'all, welcome to Chatelaine Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. Today is Monday, July 14th, 2025, and this is episode 85. My name is Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative 1. That's the Arabic numeral 1. If you are new here, I appreciate you checking me out, and if you're returning, I appreciate you coming back. This channel is mostly about cross stitch, although I do show some knitting and a few other crafts occasionally. Excuse me. And as always, as soon as I start talking, I need to start coughing. That's like, it's either, with floss tube, it's either the itchy nose or the coughing. Anyway, so I appreciate you being here, and hopefully you'll like what you see. I have quite a bit to show you today, even though it has only been like 11 days since I last recorded. So this is either going to be a little bit longer, or I'm probably going to talk way too fast. So hopefully you'll enjoy it, and let's get going, I guess. First up is hearsay. Not a lot to talk about hearsay. We have had a lot of rain here in North Carolina lately, storms most afternoons, some days. Tropical storm Chantel, I don't know how to pronounce it. Kind of came through the middle of North Carolina, and we got a lot of rain about a week or so ago, as well as some tornado warnings. There were, I think, a couple of smallish tornadoes that hit down. One not so far from me, but did not directly affect me, although we had a tornado warning Sunday afternoon, what was that, the 6th? Whatever that Sunday was. And usually, you know, we get those, the one that's been spotted in the area, that sort of thing. But for us, normally, that's not like a huge, giant tornado like you see, you know, in the movies and stuff. This one, though, the phone alarm, you know, went off. And when I looked outside, the trees seemed to be like swirling. So I thought, well, maybe this one I'll pay a little bit of attention to. So I grabbed the cat and we went down to the basement bathroom for about 30 minutes. She was not very happy about it, but ended up nothing hitting right here. There were a couple of tornadoes in North Carolina that were, I believe, resulted in some property damage, but I don't think there was anyone who lost their life as a result of the tornadoes. But there were a couple people who lost their life as a result of some flooding that was going on. We did have some flooding, but, and again, some of that was not too far from me, but fortunately we were okay here. So anyway, meanwhile, weather's just rain. We seem to have rain every day. A lot of times in the summer we have afternoon thunderstorms, but there's been a little more than that lately. So the main concerning thing at this point is the ground is so saturated, is the worry about trees coming up if the wind picks up. So hopefully everything will be better. The only other hearsay thing, and if I look over to the side, I'm looking at my notes so I don't forget to say anything. The only other main hearsay thing is I've just gotten back last night from the Queen City Stitch Retreat, Chatelaine Retreat, which was a lot of fun. I will talk about that more towards the end, so that those of you who are not interested in retreat recap stuff don't have to sit through all of that. Last thing for hearsay, the giveaways from my 7th anniversary are all given away or all mailed. A couple of people have let me know they got them, which I appreciate. It's not 100% necessary, although I would like to know if you don't receive something and you think you're supposed to. But hopefully everybody has gotten all those by now. If for some reason you have not, please let me know so that I can try to track that and see where that is. So let's move on to the crafting. First up is verdicts, and I do have one verdict to show you. I showed you this started last time. This is a muscle burra hat by Isolde Teague. This is knit out of fingering weight yarn. I used leftover scraps from Desert Vista Dye Works, and I knit it on US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter needle. This is a reversible double layer hat. So the other side, because I was using scraps, is a different color and has the same color though, a fold up brim. This is knit basically in like a long tube with both ends closed, and then you just tuck it up inside. I debated, I haven't blocked this yet, and so I was going to wait before I make a decision. I debated whether, sorry, trying to get it in there. I debated whether I should like tack the two ends together, like run a stitch through here through both layers so that it wouldn't come out like I just showed you. My plan is to donate this to, I haven't decided what organization yet, but some organization that will give it to someone who needs a warm hat for the winter. So I wondered if, for like washing purposes and stuff, particularly for somebody who, it is machine washable and dryable, but for somebody who is not a knitter, you know, that if it came apart might wonder what the heck's going on. So if any of y'all have made a muscle burr hat out of fingering weight yarn, let me know your thoughts. Did you like run a tack stitch between those two or something? Let me know what you think. So anyway, that is the only verdict that I have to show this time. So we'll move into quarters in session, and the only thing I was going to show you knitting wise, besides obviously I worked on that hat this weekend, is the socks that I showed you last time. I only had the toes, but so I got through the full colorway repeat, so I thought I'd show you what that looks like. This is lollipop yarn in the quintessential base. You cannot get lollipop yarn anymore, so sorry. This colorway is called Mischief, and it's this kind of gray with pops of purple, pinky purple, the kind of rainbow, which goes, you know, here to the middle and then back again, and then it does, and it's just going to alternate between this color and a stripe like this throughout the whole skein of yarn. I do have, it did come with a purple to use for the heels, which I will do if I remember. I have a bad habit of just starting the heel without forgetting that I want to swap to a different yarn. So, but anyway, so I did get through the colorway of that, so I wanted to show you what that was fully going to look like. I do all of my socks 2 at a time on 2 circulars with a US 0, which is a 2mm needle. So, and I will do the Wet the Heel Roomy Short Row Heel by Ty Bueno on that one, I think. Okay, so now we're on to the cross stitching. And again, I have a giant stack right here of projects, and because I've worked on a lot, so hopefully I won't talk too fast. If you are new here, as I talk about cross stitch projects, I will post a picture of what the project will look like when it's finished, and if it is not a new start, I will also be showing a picture of what it looked like the last time I showed it to you. So first up is in this project bag by Lynn X Stitch Creates. This is Kingdom of Books, which is a Russian kit. I started this approximately August 31st, 2016. This is the full coverage piece that I am working on this year, doing at least 3,000 stitches a month, and I'm planning to finish it. And here's where it is. Since you last saw it, I have done 1,025 stitches, which was all mainly in this book right here. There's some lighter stitches over here that are kind of hard to see, I'm sure, right now. So that is 1,025 of the 3,000 I need to do this month, and I am currently at 83.8%. When I show you again at the end of the month, I will have that out of the Q-snap, and you can see the whole thing. So usually about once a month you see that whole thing. Next up is the first Whip Go project I'm working on this year. This is in a bag that I made out of Doctor Who fabric. And this is Minnie the 10th, which is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, based on artwork by Mandy Manzano. I started this August 13th of 2023. This is a full coverage. Like I said, it's Minnie the 10th, so it's a little smaller. I do all my full coverage, unless I tell you otherwise, I do all my full coverage on 25 count 1/1 full cross. Kingdom of Books that I just showed you, I'm doing on the kit fabric, which is a 14 count, 3 strands over 1 full cross. Anyway, so this is 25 count, 1 over 1 full cross. I have done, my goal for this for the month is 1,300 stitches. I have done 708. It is currently at 10.1%. I have to remember to pull it back here so that I have room to show you where it was last time. Most of what I've done this time is filling in some right here, and then I carry threads over, and I think I've started to go here. So this is filled in a little bit more. I've done a little bit right here as I've filled in some of these colors up here. So sorry about that. Next up, this is in another bag by Lynn X Stitch Creates. This is O Feathers by Rosewood Manor. I am doing this on, this is the project that I am using for Andrew, the Runner Stitchers Whip into, hashtag Whip into Shape. Sorry, I just need to write down the Runner Stitcher so I don't forget to tag him, because I don't have him on my other list in there. I'm doing this on 36 count antique white. I'm using the sulky pack that it's called for. I started this May 15th of 2021. And since you last saw it, I've done 416 stitches. I have not done, I stitch on this usually on Mondays or early in the week and do the stitches for the miles he run the last week. So I have not gotten to this yet for last week's stitches. So this will get some more, probably not tonight, probably tomorrow, I would say. I'm currently at 70.8% on this. So by the time Andrew runs his marathon in August, if this is not finished, it will be very close, and I will get it finished shortly thereafter. Okay, next up, I've done some Christmas in July stitching. So I told you last time that I'd made a list of all of my Christmas whips, and that I was going to try to get through at least some of them this month, doing at least 500 stitches on them. I started with the 3 Christmas whips that I did not touch at all in 2024. And then beyond that, I'm going from oldest whip to newest whip to try to get 500 stitches in. I will not hit all of them, but that's, I try to work on, you know, the older ones first, because they're older, they need to be finished first. Anyway, this is in this bag from Creative Carol. No, this is a brass button bag. This is, I guess, not technically Christmas, but I consider it Christmas. This is Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais with Needle and Thread. It's a Christmas piece to me, so I included it in the Christmas whips. I started this December 22nd of 2021. It is on 36 count XU Designs Milk Coffee, and I'm doing it with all the called for colors, including the conch for the house. Some people have made the house pinker because it looks very pink in the picture, but the called for conch, Weeks Dye Works conch, is not quite as pink, but I kind of like the blushy color of it. I did 550 stitches, which were all pretty much in the house. I did those windows, and I did a little bit more of the conch. I don't know if you can see. Try to get it close enough you can see. There's some more conch down here. I started outline where there's a bird that comes in. So I did 550 stitches. I'm currently at 35.1%. Next up is in a bag that I got from Sheba Designs. Couldn't think for a second. This is Santa's Moonlit Ride by Counting Puddles. at that. I like the fabric on the inside of that bag. I started this December 4th of 2023. I'm doing it on 32 count Atomic Ranch in Crocus colorway, which is, the pattern is done on like a navy. This is actually a purple, but it looked very night sky to me. So I did 528 stitches, mostly up there, that sled and the Santa. I finished kind of the Santa and the sled, did a little bit more of the moon pattern. And like I said, I did 528 stitches. This is currently at 4.3%. Next up is in another brass button bag with Grinch on it. This is Kringle's Tree Farm by Luminous Fiber Arts. I started this December 27th of 2023. And this is on Atomic Ranch, Lugana, 32 count Atomic Ranch Lugana in the colorway Storm. This is where it is. I did, I finished up the word Kringles, did the word tree. I did a couple more of those trees up I finished the first little hill of trees and started the second hill. And I did that little bit of white under tree because that's like a stripe that goes across most of the pattern. So I got that started so that I could do some white here and there. Those words are in 2 shades of green. Hopefully you can see that. So I did 549 stitches on this, and it is currently at 16.5%. So that's not a huge one. So those were the 3 that I had not touched at all in 2024. So I did those first, and then I started with my oldest Christmas whip, and I'm going from there. This is the only other Christmas whip I've gotten to. This is in another brass button bag, and this is Christmas at Hawkern Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. I started this June 10th, 2021. I am doing this on 27 count Zweigart Linda fabric in the colorway Whisper, and I am doing it 1/1 full cross. I'm currently on block 4, that big house. I am only going to be doing the top 9 blocks of this. I'm leaving off that whole bottom row. I have, my markup says I'm 36.7%, but I don't know that's accurate. The problem with these patterns to me is each block uses the same symbols, but for different colors. So you can't really hop around because what may be a symbol for green in one block is a symbol for red in the next block. About the black and the white tend to stay consistent, but that's about it. So I am working a block at a time. I'm working on that house. What I did this time was mostly I don't know if you can see, if I can get it to where you can see, but if I make it smaller, I did all the white frame of the windows, and I don't know if you're actually able to see that or not, but I basically did all the frame of the windows around the door, and then I did the brown shades above each window is pretty much all that I did. And I did, I wrote down the percentage. I did not write down how many stitches I did. It was 500 and something. Sorry. I'll put on the screen how many stitches it actually was, because apparently I didn't write that down, and that's on my phone, which I'm using to record. So, so that was the last Christmas piece that I got to work on last week before I went to my retreat. Next up is, this is a little blue cube bag that I usually keep my smaller Mill Hill ornament type pieces in. I showed you last time, this is Bewitching Pumpkin by Mill Hill. And I did a little bit more on this weekend. This was just a good piece for like sitting around out in the lobby if I wasn't knitting. So I worked on this some more, and I basically did all that pink is what I did. So I did like another 141 stitches. And I'm at about 38.1% according to my app, which is, and that's not based on exact stitch count. That's based on height by width kind of count. So okay, next up was my July 4th start. And this is actually in a bag. This is kind of stashing for retirement. This is a bag that I bought from Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, that arrived last week sometime, and I put it immediately to use. This is 4th of July Round by Primrose Cottage. This was a freebie, their freebie, I think, for June. I think you can buy it now on their website, but this was like their newsletter freebie. I think it was in June. I started this July 4th, or July 4th. I'm doing it on a 28 count Lugana in the color Mushroom. The white, there's like a ecru-y white star here and here that you can't see that well, but I'm leaving it because I liked that color with it. This was a new start, so there is no previous picture, and I'm hoping to finish this month. I did 683 stitches, and that's 42.7%, so I think it was like 1,300 stitches total. And I just pulled Color and Cotton colors from my stash for that. I wanted kind of a vintagey flag feel for that one. Okay, so that brings me to what I worked on this past weekend. So I'm going to show you the projects. You'll get a little bit of Chatelaine retreat stuff as I talk about those, and then I will talk more about the Chatelaine retreat after I show you the projects. First up is in this bag by I can never remember her name. I'll have to put it across the front. It's something Pumpkin Creek. I think it might be Pumpkin Creek. Anyway, I bought this bag at StitchCon in 2022, and I went, and look, it has and it's got a pocket back here too. This is my Dragonfly Lace Mandala, which is a Chatelaine pattern that I had started already before I left. I started this on January 1st of 2023. I'm doing it on a 32 count Zweigart Silver Moon. And as you can see, it's going to be a very big piece. But let me see if I can get where you can see the part where I've actually done stitching. Sorry. Trying to fold up some fabric here so you can actually see the stitching. So here's where it is. What I did this weekend is all the purple up here. I started on this purple flower. I actually did, that is 417 stitches, believe it or not. I actually did about 200 stitches more than that and had to take it all out because I had forgotten before I got there. I had not fully set the pattern up markup. So I picked a symbol and assigned it and everything, but I accidentally assigned it to DMC 209 and it should have been DMC 208. So when I got to the next color up, which was this color up here, so there's two shades of purple in there. There was in here and various parts all up around here another shade of purple, but unfortunately it was the wrong shade of purple and it was not gonna look right. So anyway, I ended up having to frog all of that. And once I had done all that, then I put it away. So I added 417 stitches to that total, as far as what is still in there. I added probably another 200 more that are now gone. And that is currently at about 8.2%. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, I thought I felt something sticking out of that one. Not 100% sure of the accuracy of that number, because I don't really, not sure, I can't remember. Not sure that I have all the pattern in there. Chatelaine sometimes come in what they call the old class file, which means they're like in pieces, and it's not always easy to tell exactly. It's not always easy to merge them in markup. So sometimes in markup, I do them in pieces. Like I'll do this piece and then I'll import the next piece and do it. So I don't really get a total number until the thing's done, which is going to be a while. So next up is, I have 3 new starts from this past weekend. So after those 3 new starts, I'm currently at 98 whips. And I'm going to start something else Friday, so I will be at 99. So we'll see how long that mental 100 cap I've had lasts. This is in a bag from Creative Carol. And this is the retreat piece that Katie Ten Eyck designed for the retreat. It is called Water Lily Beaded Tile, and I'll post a picture of it, what it will look like when it's finished here. The picture is one that I took of the model at the retreat, so excuse my photography skills. I started this July 10th, and this is on 28 count Zweigart Ice Blue. And I started in the middle with the little fishies, which are over 1, and I did them 2 over 1 half cross. So, and then the blue is all 2 over 2. So I got the little fishes done, and I started on the blue around them. According to markup, that is 292 stitches. It's actually a little more than that because of the over 1, which isn't counted quite right. But since I did half cross, it would take 2 half crosses for me to count as 1 stitch. But since there were 4 half crosses for every 1 stitch in markup, it's actually, that portion's actually doubled. And I haven't had a chance to, I will probably try to calculate that out to get a more accurate number just for my own personal tracking, because I find my stitch count to be motivating. But if I don't, I don't. Also, I think Deb did this. Who did this? Deb? Yeah, Deb Drager designed us the traveling stocking stitcher. Designed us a font. It says Chatelaine Weekend 2025, if we want to put that on there. So Katie Ten Eyck designed that for the retreat. It is not, I don't believe it's, she is starting to design as Sosna Designs. She does not have a website or anything yet. And so this pattern is not currently available. I don't know when. I believe it will become available at some point. I just don't know when. So I spent most of Thursday night and most of Friday, I think. No, I spent Thursday night and Friday morning on that. And then I started another new one. This is by Creative. This is a bag by Creative Carol, Dragonflies. I started Polar Beauty Mandala by Chatelaine. Picture of here, what it's supposed to look like. So I had, and this is one of those patterns that came as an old class file, so it's in pieces. And as you can see from the center, from the picture, this has like a center Northern Lights and then some other pictures around. So right now I've only loaded that center part. And before I went, I loaded the center part into markup. Well, the center part you can either do over 2 or over 1. And I decided before I went, I'm just going to do it over 2. I'd loaded it in markup. I'd assigned all the symbols. Well, after I did the fish on the water lily beaded tile pattern over 1, 2 over 1 half cross. We were talking about full coverage pieces in general, and I've always done my full coverage 1 over 1 full cross because my brain has a hard time with just the half cross and following where I'm supposed to be. And full coverage, I tend to do not fully cross country, but I thread complete cross country. So I'll start in my top left with a symbol and that get a thread of that color, and I will go in that area with that color, and then I will go wherever I can do that symbol till that thread is done. But my brain has a harder time figuring out where that is I'm supposed to come up and stuff if it's just a half cross. So anyway, we're talking about that, and we were talking about the center of this, and anyway, long story short, the table mates and friends I was talking to, they convinced me that I should do the center of this over 1, 2 over 1 half cross, which meant I had to pull the over 1 center into markup. And which is also when I realized also I didn't have time before I went to get all of my floss on Floss Drop. So I had just put the floss for the center on there. But when I started working on the center, I realized that over 1, the center actually had more colors to it. So then I was like scrambling to find floss drops. Anyway, I did get the center started, but because I tend to work from top left to right, I started in the very center, and then I worked my way to the top left corner of the center of the piece, and that's where I am now. So that's why this looks really weird when you see it. Anyway, so I started this, and I bought the fabric there. Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, is also the dyer behind Oak Crown Studios, and she's one of the organizers of the retreat, and she had fabric and some other things there for sale, and so I went hoping she would have fabric for this, and she had the perfect fabric. This is 32 count Oak Crown Lugana in the colorway Clear Skies. And I don't know if you will be able to get the full, there's definitely a lovely blue-green tint to this fabric, and I don't know if it will show up on screen. So, this down here is the very center. Am I showing you the right? I'll make sure I'm showing you the right side. And then as you can see, I just kind of worked my way up by color till I got to the top left corner up here. And now I'll work in a more kind of logical looking way. So anyway, so that is 797 half stitches. So I count that as 399 full stitches, which is currently 2.7% of the center of the piece. It is a very small fraction of the entire, probably 0.1% of the entire Polar Beauty mandala. I won't have a better number on that until as I go, we see. So, and my final new start, this is in a bag. This was our like retreat bag that we got, that Kitschy Whips, Kitschy Stitches, what is her name? Let me put my glasses on and see if I can read this better. Kitschy Stitch. It says KS. So, yeah, Kitschy Whips, Maggie, who is the other organizer of the retreat, had a friend of hers make these bags for us. Sorry, I've got hair on my face now. And they're beautiful. Look at that rainbow zipper. Isn't that so cool? The rainbow zipper. So in this is my workshop. So the Chatelaine retreat, it didn't really have classes. Sorry, I've got a hair across my face now. We didn't really have classes, but Amy, Maggie, Katie, and Alma, who is the tattooed crafting owl, each had done one of the 4 workshops, stitch workshops that we all got a pattern from Chatelaine of a stitch workshop. And the stitches were the Jessica stitch, the rice stitch, Algerian eyelet, and the Rhodes stitch. And when you signed up, you requested which one you prefer, but they had limited numbers of each, so you may or may not got your first choice. But anyway, so you got as part of your retreat stuff, you got a kit for whatever that workshop was and that pattern. Excuse me. I got the Rhodes workshop, which is, I think, workshop number 3. I'll put a picture here of what it looks like when it's finished. And I did start it, although it's a very, very tiny start. All 28 stitches of it. And so basically, yeah, I mean, that's it. I did this little outline right here so that when we did the road stitch, I had a place to put in a couple of road stitches. That's all I've done. And this is, I think, just a white Zweigart. No, well, it's not white. It seems to have maybe a light blue tinge to it. I don't know what color exactly that is. It's just a Zweigart. I don't think they actually told us what color it was. So that's my tiny start on the Rhodes workshop. All 28 stitches, which is 0.8%. It's a smaller piece. It's like 75 by 75. So, but it has a lot of Rhodes stitches, which are not hard to do. They just, you know, may take a little time. So that is all my stitching. Before I talk a little bit more about the retreat, I'll just say on the docket, I will be starting Stars by the Drawn Thread on Friday. Otherwise, I still have a lot of my goal stitching for the month to do. I've got not quite 2,000 more on Kingdom of Books. I haven't done anything on Let Freedom Ring yet this month. Winter Cabin is my other Whip Go piece I need to do another 1,000 stitches on. I need to do, about another 600, I think, on Minnie the 10th. And I need to do my O-Feather stitching each week, so for Whip into Shape. So I've probably, like I said, I'm going to another retreat this weekend, so we'll see what I choose to take for that. I'm very excited about my Chatelaine pieces right now, and I'm definitely going to take them because I know to show them to my friend Peggy, but I may or may not work on those this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. I probably will take those and some other stuff to work on and just see what I feel like at the time. But, and also I'd like to finish that 4th of July round this month as well, if possible. But all of that's up in the air. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the Chatelaine retreat. I was at table 4, which was me, Sarah, who is Memphis Sarah E, and also the owner of Stitchers Memphis. She just recently purchased an LNS in Memphis and has renamed it Stitchers Memphis. Annie, who is Stitching to Connect Annie on Floss Tube. Pam, who is Stitching in the Land of Good Enough, and also the owner of Stitch New England, a shop in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. Elena, who to my knowledge does not have a floss tube, but was lovely to have as a table mate. Debbie, who is Alligator Stitcher on Floss Tube. She was one of my table mates at the original Queen City Stitch Retreat in 2023, which was a Mirabilia retreat. And Kelly, who is also from the Massachusetts area, does not have a floss tube, but I Zoom with her a lot on Pam's Zooms. So that was my table. Those were my table mates. Also at the table next to us were several people that I hung out with a good bit. Sally, who was also one of my table mates at the original Queen City Stitch Retreat in 2023. She was there, and that was fun. Anne, my friend Anne, who is Anne Craft All the Things, who hasn't recorded in forever. Get on that, Anne. She lives in that area and was not at the retreat, but she came. She was one of our table mates at the original 2023 Mirabilia retreat. So she came and went and had dinner with us one night. And so Sally was at the next table. Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff was there, so it was lovely to get to meet her. We have basically the same last name, just spelled differently, and it's not a very common name sound-wise, much less spelling-wise, so that was kind of funny. I had seen her last name before and thought that she probably pronounced it the same way. And there were a couple other little oddities that we found that I guess were kind of similar. I think we're both now at 98 whips after the weekend. But and we had fun too. She's a big Virginia Tech fan. If you watch Jessie Marie, you know that. I'm a big Carolina fan. We're not a huge rivalry, but we are a rivalry. So we had fun. There was a photo booth there, so we had some fun with some photos and stuff on that. I posted on Instagram, but I'll post a picture here of our little photo strip, and also a picture of like our table for pictures. Let's see. Nicola and Charlotte came over from the UK, and I spent a good bit of time with them this weekend. Nicola does not have a floss tube. Charlotte is stitching with the kids around on YouTube. And it was a lot of fun to talk to them, and Nicola and I had a good time kind of comparing languages and words and things like that. And then also, of course, Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, was one of the organizers. Maggie Kitschy Whips was the other organizer. I mentioned Katie tonight, who did the pattern. Alma, the tattooed crafting owl. And then Allie Z was there. I think there were a couple more. Jen, who does not have a floss tube, but who goes to the Barefoot Needle Arts, and I think will be at Stitch and Thrift next weekend. She was there. There were a lot of other people that I met. Christine from West Virginia. Is that where you're from, Christine? Christine or Christina? Now I'm second guessing myself. I met a lot of lovely people that I didn't get as much time to spend with. And this was a smaller retreat. I think we were around 45-ish or so. We had 7 people at our table because there were originally, I think, 9 tables set up with 6 at a table, but they had a couple of last minute cancellations for, unavoidable reasons. And so I think that table would have only ended up having like 2 people. So those 2 people were just kind of slotted into a couple other tables. We turned a couple other tables into like 7 people tables. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Twice a day, to the 4, like I said, we had the 4 stitch workshops. And so Amy, Maggie, Katie, and Alma all had done one of the stitch workshop samples. And so they each kind of took a stitch, and each morning and each afternoon, one of them would come around to your table and talk about that stitch and show you tips for how to do that stitch. So it wasn't really like a class. It was more like, does anybody need help knowing how to do the stitch? Here's a couple of tips that I've found, or, tricks that work, make it smooth, make them lay better, that sort of thing. So honestly, the only workshop I saw was the Rhodes workshop. The first 2 that our table had were at 9 o'clock in the morning. And if you know me, I don't usually show up to a retreat till 10 o'clock in the morning. And so I just wasn't there for the first 2. And the one that was the first day's afternoon started like 2 o'clock, and they had a chair massage come both Friday and Saturday. And I ended up getting massaged Friday afternoon that ran over to the 2 o'clock time. So by the time I got back to the table, whichever one that was they were already done. So they weren't they would stay at your table for an hour if you wanted them to, but for the most part, I think most of them, they were there for 10 or 15 minutes, and but they were always there available to answer questions and stuff. So yeah, so the retreat largely, there were some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things at the brag table. We were given the pattern for the water lily beaded towel. We were given the pattern for our workshop. And then Chatelaine also graciously gave us a discount code that was like a one-time use for this weekend only, where we could order patterns from the website with that discount. This is kind of stashing for retirement, but related to the weekend, so I'll go ahead and show them to you. I got 2 patterns. I got the Summer Garden Mandala, and I'll post a picture of these as I talk, which is the stitch along pattern that they are doing for next year. I originally was not all that interested in it, looking at the mock-up, but when I went to the Chatelaine gallery, I liked it better, and I also was able to pick out some fabric from Amy, which I'll show you shortly. The mock-up looks very yellow and green, which is just, I don't love. it's a little too much yellow and green is what it is. I like yellow and I like green, but I've got kind of a blue fabric that hopefully will kind of tone that down a little bit. But I like the overall effect of the pattern. So I got the Summer Garden mandala with a discount. And then I also bought blue Moroccan lace, which I'll put a picture of here. I've always liked this pattern. And, you know, if you know me, you know I love blue. But Dawn, who is a prolific chatelaine stitcher and brought several framed finished chatelaine pieces, which are all gorgeous. She brought blue Moroccan lace that she had converted to purple, and she did it on an atomic ranch fabric that I think I have. I've got to dig in and make sure I've got it, and I'm not sure what count I have it in. If I don't have it in a count I can use for chatelaine, then I will just order it. But so I bought blue Moroccan lace because I am going to be a copycat and duplicate what Dawn did. She has put her conversion on the Chatelaine Facebook group, not the retreat, but the actual like Chatelaine support Facebook group. And I think it's also on her Instagram, which I need to find. I don't know that I know her Instagram. Anyway, I found it on the Chatelaine Facebook group today. So I'm going to basically be a copycat and do exactly what she did in the purple. So, and I'll put a picture of her purple conversion up here. So those were the two chatelaine patterns that I bought with the discount. And that leads that sort of leads into stashing for retirement and goodies and stuff. Before I do that, I will just do calendar in case you don't care about that stuff and you don't want to see the rest of it. I will be at the Stitch and Thrift Retreat this weekend in Lexington, South Carolina, and then I will be at the Barefoot Retreat in October, and I'm planning to go to the Greensboro Stitchers Stitching Day in November. Queen City Stitch Retreat is doing another Chatelaine retreat next July, which will be, this one was only, I think they limited it to like 48 people originally. This one is going to be more one of their full-size retreats, which I think is like 140 people they do, something like that. Registration for that opens August 15th. The way they do the registration is if you sign up in the first 24 hours, they then do a lottery from everybody that signs up in the first 24 hours. If that is more people than they can take. So you don't have to be there at 10 a.m. on the dot. You have 24 hours from the time that it registers to get your name and everything in, and then they will do a lottery from that rather than a first come, first serve. If you don't get in, then your name goes on the wait list if you're in that first 24 hours, and they do not build additional to their wait list. I don't believe they build additional to the wait list until they have exhausted everybody that signs up in that first 24 hours. I got into this Chatelaine retreat off the wait list. Registration was last year sometime. I got in a couple months ago. I got an email saying they had a spot, and you know, did I want to come? Of course, I had also told Amy, I'm only 2 hours away. You can call me Wednesday night and I'll show up. But my name came up, you know, a couple months ago when somebody had to unfortunately drop out. Sorry, I keep feeling like I've got something in my eye. So if you're interested in the Chatelaine retreat for next July, August 15th, registration will open. I believe it's 10 a.m. Go on the Queen City Stitch Retreat website and or Instagram. There is information on there about that. And it's basically a Google spreadsheet that you fill out in that 24 hours, and then they will draw names from that and send you an email. Be aware, however, if you get in August 15th or shortly thereafter, the payment, if you get in the first round, will be due September 1st. And I think it's $275. So you do have to pay well in advance, but they do a good job with swag bags and stuff. I'm getting ready to show you swag bag. Now, I will say our swag bag this time, because it was a smaller retreat, was very bougie. Don't expect quite this level of bouginess, I think, with 140 some people. So I just, you know, because there's one thing in here that you're going to go, oh my gosh. And I don't think that next year everybody will get one of these. I'm just going to tell you. Anyway, so that's calendar. I'm going to move into the rest of kind of my swag and the gifts and stuff from the retreat, and also my stashing for retirement. So first up, let me show you what was the rest of the stuff that was in the swag bag. So in the swag bag was my kit for the Rhodes workshop. So it was the fabric, all the floss, all the specialty thread, and the pattern for the Rhodes workshop, as well as for the water lily beaded tile, the pattern, the fabric, all the specialty thread. We had to bring our own DMC for the retreat pattern, but it was anything that wasn't DMC, they gave us. So all of that was in there. In addition to that, Oak Crown Studio gave us, and I didn't end up using this since I kind of started my Rhodes workshop, gave us some small pieces of fabric and a skein of DMC variegated, as well as a small hoop, so we could like practice the stitches for the workshops if we wanted to. I haven't used that yet, but I'll use it for ornaments or something. And then European cross stitch. If you do Chatelaines, you know European cross stitch is one of the easiest places to order your beads and your specialty threads from. European cross stitch had a similar idea, and they gave us a pack with fabrics and some floss. And I don't know if there's beads in there, or if that's just kind of a, oh yeah, there's some beads in there too. So I haven't actually opened that yet. We also got a pair of Kohana snips. And again, this is one of the things that I would not necessarily expect for a 140 people retreat. Take it out of the plastic and see if that... So those are like the little snips from Kohana. And then this is the thing that, of course, everybody was oohing and ahhing over. And before I show you this, if you know what these are, they did not order these in bulk. They were not able to put in a special order because this person does not do that. They stalked her releases. I've never tried to get one. Let me tell you what it is, so it'll make more sense. We all got a Clay by Kim Dragon needle minder. Apparently, I've never tried to get one. Apparently, she releases like every Thursday night or something like that. Amy and Maggie and both their husbands, apparently for several months, stalked the releases every Thursday night buying needle minders until they had enough for everybody at the retreat. So, you know, we all did, but so we all got a Clay by Kim needle minder in our swag bag. So this is, I love it. I think it's beautiful. It's not something I ever would have stalked to get, just because I don't really use needle minders as a functional item that much, because I'm always using the like magnet things to hold my extra fabric. But I love that I have one. So anyway, so that was like the swag stuff from the retreat. You know, and if you've been to a retreat, a lot of people do table gifts. It's not required, but a lot of people do. I got this bag. Ooh, that's going to be reflect. It's shiny silver from Kelly. And in it had a pair of cute little frog socks. I told her I appreciate the fact that they're shorty socks, because these printed socks that are the like cruise socks and come up your calf never fit me right. There were frog stickers, and then she had some other stickers that I got from her that were cats, various snarky little sayings on them. And then also inside was, I don't know if that's DMC and the tag came off or something else. There's green floss. I'm not sure what that is. I didn't notice that it didn't have a tag on it, so I didn't ask her. And then 3 things of, I can't think of her name. It's not Vicky Clayton. What's the name of her? Vicky. Is it Vicky Clayton Silks? Do you know who I'm talking about? I think it's Vicky Clayton Silks. I'm not sure. If that's not right, I'll put it across the screen. So anyway, I got 3 bobbins of that. So that was nice. And then Sally, who I mentioned earlier, who was one of my table mates at the Queen City Stitch Retreat in 2023, she made little zipper pouches for everybody there that say Queen Charlotte. It says Queen City Stitch Retreat, the acronym, you know, the initials, and it says Chatelaine Weekend 2025. And it's a zipper pouch with the vinyl front. And then I put the rest of my little gifty stuff in here to keep it together. So then had a little bead for it. But she made one of these for everybody, which was lovely. Oh, and it had a cute little note in it from Sally. Let's see what else I got here. I don't even know who some of these people are from. Oh, there's a Chatelaine stick. This is from Paige Fowler. And there's a Chatelaine sticker in here. And then it's a... Oh, that's cool. It's a needle minder with my initial. They were going around and, asking Rose's first name. But I just realized that... I don't know if you can see. Based on the picture, I don't know if you can see that there's a pass-through there so that your needle goes in there to the magnet so it's held strongly. Oh, and those were from Dawn and Paige Fowler. So I guess that's Dawn TCB. Is that Dawn Powell? I don't know if that's Dawn Powell who did all the Chatelaines. I'll have to look at that Instagram and see if that's Dawn Powell. I didn't just notice that card in there. Pam from Stitch in Land of Good Enough and Stitch in England gave us a lovely big decorative, it can be used, I guess it could be used as a stick pin, but a pen to put in the small, or you can use it as a counting pen. Anyway, it's really pretty. It's like, what is this? Where are they? Jessie gave us some, had butterscotch and a ring to hold floss cards, but I hole punched her floss cards because I needed some floss cards. So sorry, Jessie, I punched through the front of the gazebo. You can't see the picture fully anymore. It's the gazebo at the duck pond at Virginia Tech. So, but I punched those because I needed a couple of them while I was there. Let's see. And then Jen gave me some floss drops. They were cute. She, like me, doesn't hole punch them yet because, different people like theirs punched differently. So I'll punch those when I'm ready to use them. I'm not sure who gave us this. I came back from somewhere and it was at my desk. It was a little blue bag. It had 2 skeins of DMC in it, some Twinings tea, and it also had 2 pieces of chocolate in it, but I ate them already. So thank you, whoever that was. I never figured out who that was from. And then somebody else gave us this, and she came around handing them out, and now I can't remember who it was. I apologize. It has a crayon with 2025. It's one of the reels, and it's got a needle threader and a pair of scissors on it. So that was handy. And then Sarah from Stitchers, Memphis Sarah E, gave us a little bag with Stitchers Memphis on it. Her card, it's her name and information. And this has, I got a Stitchers Memphis needle minder. And then she gave us just like a variety of flosses and stuff. Some specialty flosses. And also a Stitchers Memphis sticker. Oh, and then, whoever, when they were coming around giving out the, initial needle minders, we also got a pen. And so I'm not sure if that's also from Paige and Dawn or if that was somebody else who was handing those out. So I picked a blue one. Oh, that's how it works. I was trying to figure out how it works. It's a twist. So I think that's it for swag and table gifts and stuff. So we'll do regular stashing for retirement. So I bought, like I said, Oak Crown Studios was there. We had a retreat colorway that you could pre-order. Trying to find that one so I can show you that first. Which one is that? I think it's this one. Yes, this is the Chatelaine Weekend exclusive colorway, which is called Vinca. And I got a fat half of 32 count linen. Vinca, if you know what Vinca flowers are it's a very kind of periwinkle purpley blue. So I pre-ordered that. And then from what she had there, I bought, so the clear skies that I started my polar mandala on, I bought that fat half. I bought a fat half of 28 count Lugana Opal in the colorway Heather. This was her April 2025 color of the month. I was getting her color of the month last year. I stopped it this year just because I needed to slow the roll of the amount of fabric that's coming into my house. Which is great because it makes me feel less guilty when I buy it in person. But I bought a fat quarter of 18 count Ada in the colorway Castle Wall. I think I'm going to do the, I got this to do the Summer House Stitchworks 4 Halloween pieces on that are this year. And then this is the fabric that I bought to do the Summer Mandala on. This is Rough Ocean. I bought a full yard of it. It's 32 count Lugana because I like the color and we'll use it. So I think that will tone down the yellows and greens that are in that pattern a little bit. There are some blues in it, so it will just emphasize the blue a little bit more. And then Amy also dyes quilting fabric, and I've always wanted something. I've just never pulled the trigger, and she had some little bundles, so I bought one bundle of her hand-dyed quilting fabric. I assume these are fat quarters, so I don't know if I will do project bags or maybe a small quilt piece or something. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with most of the quilting fabric. But I buy it anyway. Let me put those back in the bag just so they don't get too messed up. Sorry for the crinkle. Sunday afternoon, so the retreat was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday, the Stitching Kitten in Irmo, South Carolina, opened up for retreat attendees. That is about an hour and a half from where the retreat's held in Charlotte. And I wasn't in a big hurry Sunday, so I decided I had never been to the Stitching Kitten. I'm sorry for the crinkle. I'm trying to get everything out of this bag without making too much noise. So Nicola and Charlotte, like I said, were from the UK and did not have a car. So I told them I would drive them down there and back because their flight was not till like midnight Sunday night. So, and then Jessie was staying overnight Sunday, so she rode down with us as well. So the 4 of us headed down Sunday. There were some others who went in different vehicles. So we went down to the Stitching Kitten, and I bought a few things there. I only bought one pattern. I just bought several pieces of fabric and partially kitted the pattern I bought. But anyway, so I got there. So this is the Mad Tea Party from Bella Filipina. This is my first Bella Filipina. And I have been looking at this one for a while, and they had it, so I decided to finally pull the trigger. But I did not want to do it on brown. So I found, this is Fabrics by Stephanie in 28 count Lugana in the colorway Bewitched. So I'm going to, let me turn it around the way I'm going to do it. So this is what I'm going to do it on. The green will be, the arch will be up at the top. Ugh, sorry. I do not make a good Vanna, do I? The arch is going to be up at the top where that green is, so that she will be kind of more on where this brighter purple is. So I bought that to do that on, and then I bought what they had of the fancy floss and the beads. They're and I bought some, like, so this is one of the called for Chronics. This is not quite the, I bought this Treasure Braid. I'm not sure which one of those I'll use. one of these. This was the called for chronic for like a blue, I think. I wasn't real sure. This was the Treasure Braid substitutes. One is obviously more blue than the other, so I may just use a little of both depending on where they are. This was the substitute Treasure Braid for the dark brown chronic, which was very similar, so I got that. Not that, that's something else. And then I got the beads and treasures that they have. There are a few more beads that I'll need to order. And I'll need to get the DMC. And there might be one more specialty floss that I need to get. So, and in addition to that, and I bought a little bit more fabric, I got, this is 40 count Atomic Ranch Vapors. This is just one of my favorite neutrals of Atomic Ranch. That's like a gray neutral. So I got another piece of that. Somebody I was watching recently showed this colorway. This is Atomic Ranch Plum Forest, and somebody, I think it was one of their recent colorways that somebody showed, and I was thinking I needed it, and they had it, so I got it in a 32 count linen. And just because I love the color, I don't know what I will use it for. And then this one's another one I bought just because it was pretty. This is 32 count Stonehenge even weave, so I guess it's a Lagana. Atomic Ranch. The colorway Stonehenge. It's an even weave. I guess that's a Lagana. So I got that because that was pretty. So that was it from Stitching Kitten. And then just a couple more. Oh, one more thing that I was thinking. This just came today. Be Stitch Me had a a ready to ship update not too long ago. And they had a new colorway called Not Your Denim Jacket. So I got that in 32 count Lagana. It's just a, I love a good blue. I also got it in 22 count Ada. Be Stitch Me is one of the few places that has an Ada in a 22 count. And I could not do linen in, like 46 or anything like that, but I can do a 22 count Ada. I also got a 22 count Ada in Frost, which is one of her existing colorways, which is kind of a bluey, a grayish blue. And then I got a 32 count Lagana in Huckleberry, just because I thought that was pretty. So those just arrived today. And then I placed an order with 123 Stitch for a couple of the Christmas Village Mill Hills that I had put the notify me when they're back in stock. I got the Needlework Shop. And I got the Country Church. And I decided, I've been looking at this, and I finally decided to pull the trigger on the quarter from Chronic to do, like, the hanging stuff or edging and stuff. So I bought that. We were having a discussion about the best way to, like, finish these. And I've mentioned this before on here, that I want to do these as like a village. And the same thing with my haunted ones. I want to do as like a village for display. And I was originally thinking I might do them on fabric so I could make stand-ups, but I really don't want to do them on fabric. I want to do them on the perforated paper, but I hadn't figured out a good way to make the perforated paper stand up. And Sarah I think it was Sarah from Stitchers Memphis gave me a great idea. Because normally I back these with like an adhesive velvet. And she said that somebody had done something, and it wasn't these, but somebody in her shop that comes to the shop or something had done something where they had basically put a loop on the back and had done, I think they had done it with like a stand-up acrylic, like you get the little acrylic frames that kind of lean, and they just put like a loop of fabric on the back and then slid it over the frame to stand up. And we were talking about different ways to do that, and then it occurred to me, my husband's a woodworker. So what I could have him do, like, pieces of wood with 2 or 3 dowels, so I could have like 2 or 3 in a row, and just do the adhesive felt I put on the back, cut slits so there's a loop, and maybe put, another little piece of fabric so that part's not sticky. where I could just slide them over the dowels and have them kind of stand up. So I think I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to have to explore exactly how, what looks best. But I think I'll, then the question's just going to be doing something about the edges. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. What I may do is, I may end up doing it with real fabric instead of the velveteen and turn the edge of the fabric towards the front and stitch through, almost like you would a binding for a quilt, so that the fabric covers the edges, and then I could just have the little slit in the back to go over the dowel rod. I don't know. We'll see. If you have any thoughts along those lines, please let me know. I think that's it. I'm at about an hour and 10 minutes, so maybe that'll get a little shorter, a little longer if I weed stuff out. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or send me an email. My email address is below. I have a link to a Google spreadsheet below that will give you fabric and things like that on all of my projects if I forgot to mention something. If you're interested in any knitting projects I show, I have project pages for those on Ravelry. Love to get comments. Usually try to at least heart them. I'll reply. If I have something to say and reply, I will reply. But I'm not one of those people. I'm online generally on like message boards and stuff. I'm one of those people that doesn't comment unless I have something to say. So, I will, but I love to read the comments and get the comments, and I appreciate you interacting in that way. So also feel free to send me an email if you'd rather do that, or message me on Instagram. I think that's it. If I've forgotten something, oh well. So anyway, if you've stuck around this long, I appreciate you coming and checking me out or watching the video if it's your first time, or returning if it's not. If you would like and subscribe and do all those fun things, I'd appreciate it. And otherwise, I will try to be back about the end of the month, 1st of August. So talk to you later. Bye, y'all.